Back at it again. It's the Football Playbook with your boy, RIC, in the place to be, representing live from New Jersey here at the Jersey Shore, broadcasting around the universe, covering the NFL, your 13-3 Philly Dilly Eagles. Got the NFL draft right around the corner, and coming this spring, we'll get into some alternate football with the USFL, XFL. We're living in the center of the football universe right here in the lab, grinding the film. I can't wait. I am going to be talking some NFL draft, a lot of it very soon, putting together the big board, getting ready for the NFL PA Bowl. In fact, Dan Vandernat will join us at 10:30 a.m. Eastern, talk a little college football playoff reaction, some risers, some NFL draft sliders, maybe some surprisers. We'll get into that. And Dane does a great job each and every week. We'll have him leading up to the draft, one of the best analysts in the business, as far as I'm concerned. Of course, 10 years as the director of pro personnel with the then Oakland, now Las Vegas Raiders. Of course, always looking forward to that. And I love talking to my brother from another mother. Chris Bizzigano is going to join us from the Giant Insider as we go behind enemy lines. And Jerry Foley and Chris Bizzigano is a tag team partner combination. They've been around for like over 30 years. They still produce, as far as I know it's the last Giant publication. It might be the last publication that's actually printed and delivered to your house in the mail. And they're still doing it 30 years plus. They've got a rabid following. And Chris is one of my favorite people to chop it up with. So he'll join us at 11 a.m. The pro football finalists were announced yesterday. Finally, I know they put that announcement off. The NFL did out of respect for Damar Hamlin. And, you know, we will spend a few minutes here on the 86th episode of the Football Playbook on this January 1st, 2023. Thursday, a tutorial Thursday, I shall add. Big shout out to all of our listeners, the chat room people, TB, the True Goat, James Stella, William Stark, how you doing? Espo, I know it hurts. It hurts so good. Jonathan Harvey, welcome to the show. And Frankie Gradia, buckle up. It's a double chin strap affair. 2 hours, a straight power. So let's get into it. And, you know, Damar Hamlin, we're trying to get back to resuming our lives because, yes, it is a very significant, impactful event that happened here. But just like some of the Eagles players mentioned, just like I've heard around some of the talking heads, you know, football is an escape for fans, for players, to get away from their problems. And, you know, part of me wants to believe that Damar Hamlin would not want the NFL universe to be on pause at his cost. I think he would want us to try to move on and carry on and persevere on his behalf, right? And the love continues to pour in from the community. His GoFundMe page was at over $7 million at last check. And, you know, hey, he's a Pennsylvania native, McKee Rocks, product of Pitt Central Catholic High School, I should mention. An entrepreneur, Chasing Millions is his clothing line. And he's been doing toy drives in his hometown, which obviously is getting more attention. So a little bit more about who Damar Hamlin is outside of the playing field. And all we can do is bring you updates. I mean, we can only slice this onion so many different ways and dissect it. And we will react to updates. We will react to factual knowledge. Everything else, quite frankly, is speculation. And what we do know is the father of Damar Hamlin spoke to the Bills via Zoom and said that, you know, Damar is still in critical condition. The recovery is moving in the right direction. And Cameron Wolf spoke at 9:30 a.m. about 40 minutes ago on NFL Network and said that he's friend of the show, by the way, stationed outside the UCM medical center there, and this family is going to provide an update with him, and he will bring that to you. And I'm sure we'll have it as soon as everything is happening. It seems like in real time in this 2023 modern day technology age, huh? You know, all I'll say is Zach Taylor spoke. A lot of Nick Sirianni spoke yesterday. A lot of coaches, Brian Daboll. I listened to that press conference. I'll get into that with the biz more later on in hour 2. But Zach Taylor spoke and said, in that moment, he spoke about Sean McDermott's resilience. And in that moment, it was Coach McDermott who said, hey, I don't know what they're doing with the game. I got to go be with Damar at the hospital. I can't be coaching this game. And so McDermott's focus was on being with Damar Hamlin. Zach Taylor saying that's when he knew the game is irrelevant. And, Joe Burrow spoke with the media yesterday as well, basically just saying, listen, a decision hasn't been made on this Bills-Bengals game yet. Burrow said, we want whatever Buffalo wants to do. We're very cognizant of that, I guess. So whatever Buffalo decides they want to do, the Bengals are on board. We'll see what the NFL decides to do. There's going to be a big impact. I mean, listen, that Bills-Chiefs playoff game a year ago was in Kansas City. To just hand them that again, I don't know. And why should the game be ruled a tie? Weren't the Bengals winning? So there's a lot of you're not going to make everybody happy with whatever the outcome, whatever the decision ultimately is. You're probably going to have half the people liking it, half the people upset about it. So we'll continue to see what the NFL decides to do there. In terms of Giants week, I'll get you my prediction today for the Eagles game. That is, they're 14-point favorites. Whoa, buckle up. And that tells me, Brian Daboll, very, very brief. And the majority of his press conference yesterday was spent on Damar Hamlin, obviously with the Buffalo Bills ties. He rattled off about a half a dozen former Bills players on that Giants roster. And so that was what the majority of his press conference was spent on talking about. We didn't really get an inkling in terms of if the Giants starters will start, how long they will play, and what his approach will be. He's going to take it down to the wire. We'll know more today, both more about Jalen Hurts officially. We'll probably know more about the Giants maybe tomorrow. And, we'll see what's up. Philly 559, good morning. Welcome. Justin Visger, Kathy Sanders. Appreciate all the love and support. Make sure you smash that like button. We're just getting started here on the Football Playbook. So, go Sixers. Good to see you, brother. Buckle up. Thank you for joining us before you have to head off to work. I know you want to get it in. And in terms of injury updates, Jalen Hurts was out there doing the installs. He was participating in the walkthrough. Took first team reps. I heard a little bit of the Mac and Mac show this morning. And I hear it was their 450th episode. Hats off to the Mac and Mac gang. And so, Jalen Van Halen. How about that? We just did a play on words there. He took reps. He was back out there. Listen, I'm 99.9% sure Jalen Hurts is going to play this Sunday. And if he doesn't, then we're going to have some issues. Espo, I know it hurts, brother. If you get buckle up, tatted on the forehead, you have a permanent spot as a co-host on the show. You can just hang out and just buckle up and be hanging out every day here on the Football Playbook if you go to that extent. And I might join you if you do it. So Miles Sanders, he showed up again on the injury report. And that's, to me, like from the, media sessions that the Eagles did post on their YouTube channel, Miles Sanders has been a regular participant each and every week. Now, I don't know if they just did not happen to post it yesterday. Don't know if other media members had a chance to speak with Miles Sanders. Conspicuously absent yesterday from all the sound bites. So I would have loved to hear from Miles Sanders, since he said the knee was fine, didn't bother him at all. Coach Sirianni said the knee was a concern, and then they held him out of practice yesterday. Maybe that's why they held him out of the media yesterday. Eagles doing a great job with the cover up there, in my opinion. And the other thing, I don't want to be insensitive, is maybe Miles needed a mental day, and I'm not joking. He was very close to Damar Hamlin, very close. And Fletcher Cox even made mention of, some of the teammates, and specifically named Miles, who were close to Damar Hamlin, checking in on those guys, making sure that they are okay mentally, making sure that they don't need anything. So not to make this into a negative, but in terms of everything else that we were worried about with Miles and his head and his fumbles and his injuries, it's just another layer here that he's going through this late season adversity, the one Miles Sanders. James Bradbury spoke. He was also limited. He'll be good to go, however. And, I think that the secondary is taking shots. I mean, Darius Slay isn't going to tell you if his back is bothering him or not. The back is a tricky thing because I don't know if that ever heals or recovers or goes away. And that was popping up early on in the season. So between Slay, nobody's healthy. Nobody's 100%. But you have Slay. You wonder if the back is bothering. Bradbury now is a little banged up, and only because Chauncey Gardner-Johnson looks like he is not going to play. I do believe they opened the 21-day window on Brett Toth. Okay. And Avonte Maddox, there's a very good chance Avonte Maddox we may not see in the postseason. And to me, if I'm the Eagles, my mentality going into the playoffs, that is, anything Lane Johnson and Avonte Maddox can give us is a bonus. You've got to assume that you're not going to have those guys. And that's why the secondary right now is got to hunker down, right? And Josiah Scott bounced back somewhat and played adequate ball, but he's always going to be a risk. You're always going to have that risk factor when Josiah Scott is in the slot, as opposed to a Maddox or hopefully a Chauncey Gardner-Johnson when he returns, because he was a big-time slot cover corner at Florida. Also with the Saints, he did play, I believe, 70% of his snaps at the nickel just a year ago. So it's not like there's a lot to adapt and adjust there. So, listen, the best case scenario, Zach McPherson, by the way, also popped up with an illness. I'm going to anticipate he'll be okay come Sunday. And he's been a big boost on special teams. We talk about Ellis. We talk about Bradley. Zach McPherson has been an outstanding special teams asset this season. Hasn't gotten a lot of reps. He did get reps earlier in the year. Remember, Slay but Slay, there was a couple games there where his snaps were reduced, and we did see Zach McPherson, but he's kind of settled down primarily into like a special teams role. So we're going to continue to preview Giants week. I'll give you my prediction today. This is the 180th meeting, oh, by the way, between the Eagles and the Giants. The Eagles hold the advantage here. 88 wins, 85 losses, and 2 ties all time. Very close in the standings. And they are also tied. They have met 4 times, only 4 times in history. This goes back all the way to 1933. Surprisingly, in the 90-year history, they've only met 4 times in the playoffs. They've split them 2-2. But the Eagles have won 14 of the last 17 games against Big Blue. So they've kind of taken the lead there in the all-time standings against the Giants. We'll have Chris Bizzigano later on at 11, Dane Vandernat at 10:30 in about 10 or 15 minutes or so. Nick Sirianni spoke yesterday, with his underdog hat on. And to me, I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into this. This is why I do enjoy the media sessions, because I'm always looking for an inkling. I'm always trying to gauge my own temperature on the team, and based on what I saw from Nick Sirianni yesterday, sounds like and looks like, feels like, seems like he lost a little bit of that swag yesterday. He just didn't have that same giddy up in his step, and maybe that's the mounting pressure, maybe that's the frustration, maybe that's the reality check that suddenly the Eagles face a must-win situation for the first time all season. They had 3 opportunities to seal the deal and get her done. They did not against the Saints or the week before against the Cowgirls. So here we are, heading into the Giants matchup, and there's a lot at stake. You could be the 1 seed, or you could be the 5 seed. You could have a first-round bye and only have to win 2 games, or you could be a 5 seed and probably have to win 3 games, all of which most likely will be on the road. A little bit of a difference there in terms of a route, but hey, if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. The good news is they still control their own destiny. Win, and you seal the deal. You don't have to sit here and worry about, if you lose, then you do have to worry about, is Dallas losing? Is the 49ers losing? Because there is, a win or a tie, you're the 1 seed. Or if you lose, then you need the Cowboys and the 49ers to lose, which is possible, but unlikely. So, Tone DeShields, the super producer behind the scenes, says, what you saw with Sirianni was someone who got a gut check and had to look in the mirror as a head coach. He needed it. You might be right. You might be right about that, Tone. A little self-reflection, and, maybe some of that arrogance, the conceitedness, the naive has worn away. Maybe they're realizing, like, hey, the great game of football is all about adapt and adjust. Maybe we should look into that model. Oh, baby. So, Go Sixer says if he's rocking the underdog gear, he's scared. I don't know if he's scared, but I know he's feeling the pressure a little bit differently. That swag just wasn't there. That little buddy vibe out the window. It's go time. It's show time. It's buckle up time. It's double chin strap affair time. Right? So, obviously he spoke about Damar Hamlin, a lot of the emotions that you go through. Jalen's day to day. We'll have a better idea. Now here's the question. See, this is what I don't understand. So now suddenly he's giving the impression that Jalen might not be good to go. Last week, he was trying to give the impression, he might be good to go. This week, he might not be good to go. Now, if I was the media member and he just got done telling me that we don't know about Jalen, my immediate follow-up question would have been, hey, coach, considering that you just said Jalen Hurts might not be able to play this week, will it be, in that scenario, again, Gardner Minshew, or will you turn the keys of the Cadillac over to Ian Book? I think it's a fair question. I'd like to know the answer. Are you really going to start Gardner again? I wouldn't. But these are the things I want to know. Who's going to be the backup on Sunday if Jalen starts? Is it going to be Gardner Minshew, or are we going to have Ian Book? I mean, Ian Book is nowhere near the player of Jalen Hurts, but his play style's more similar than Gardner Minshew is. I'm not advocating and saying that Ian Book should be. What I'm saying is I'd love to know Nick Sirianni's perspective. Maybe somebody will ask Shane Steichen today. Yeah, well, Ian, we'll give him the keys to the Lincoln Continental then, Philly 559. So, I want to know, is Minshew still the backup? I don't know. He might have played himself down from that. In terms of, Josh Sweat had a smile on his face. Probably will bug me to play this week. We shall see. Robert Quinn is another guy that could be activated here in the coming weeks. We shall see. Now, Quinn, they did open the 21-day window on. Chauncey, I don't think they have yet. Avante, he said, we're hopeful, not sure when. And then somebody asked about, the confidence in the offensive line, and he said he had so much confidence, but not the usual swagalicious Coach Nick Sirianni that we've been accustomed to here throughout the season. So Gary Deck checking in the chat room. Appreciate the interaction. Have they, Davey boy? I couldn't read my handwriting here. I have Chauncey and Quinn side by side with the 21-day window open. So okay, so that's promising. So you got Chauncey, Robert Quinn, and Brett Toth all with the 21-day window open, and Toth could play a little tackle if need be. However, I think it's too late in the game. Probably not going to run that risk. Maybe he gets a little playing time at the end of the game this week. So they're coming back on the mend. I think with all things considered, if they go out, wrap up the number 1 seed on Sunday, that good feeling should be coming back, because I believe the way these injuries are structured and the rest that they've had, come January 21st, if they have the 1 seed, that game, outside of Lane Johnson and Avonte Maddox, I think the Eagles will have every other important player ready to suit up and play come game time. So that's the good news. Take care of business. You control your own destiny. Get her done. Handle that. Wrap up the number 1 seed. And we're coming back around again. Everybody's healthy for the playoffs. I think you've got to assume Lane Johnson, Avonte Maddox, prepare for the worst, hope for the best. Davey boy, I'm not doing anything in the word of Aaron Rodgers because he's a punk. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, to Devin Owens' point, it's not that simple, unfortunately, because it's a lacerated kidney. So it's really, Devin, not about whether or not Chauncey feels ready to go. It's more about the CAT scan, what his insides look like. That's a little bit of a scarier injury and tougher to monitor. So I don't think it's that simple. It's more of a doctor's recommendation, and they have to go by that. So we'll see. Hey, Adams Exploits, always great to see you. Thank you for buckling it up. It's the law. Smash that like button. It's the law when you come to the Football Playbook chat room. We got the best interactive following there is out there in the game. Adam's been running. I've been running my mouth talking about the Philly Dilly Eagles. We're going to take a quick break after the commercial, talk some college football, NFL draft. We also announced some head coaches for the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl that I'm very excited about. We'll announce those after the break.